They should be coming back anytime. There we go.
Right, we are on the record. The People's State of Michigan versus Michael Kenneth James, file 210696SM and 210734SM. Counsel, identify yourselves for the record.
Thank you, Patrick Swinsky for the people.
You are Leland Burton for Mr. James.
All right, so Mr. Burton had requested a sidebar regarding these cases and his representation of Mr. James. And Mr. Burton, my understanding is that due to circumstances in an unrelated case that you believe that you may have a conflict of representing Mr. James. Not that you don't like Mr. James, not that you're not willing to help Mr. James, but you would be professionally conflicted in your role in the other case as how it intersects with this or these cases. Is that true?
That is true, Your Honor. Just to put it this way, I'm a guardian ad litem in a probate file that involves Ms. Tiffany Perez, who is the long-term partner of Mr. James. I would be conflicted in this case, in my opinion. I spoke briefly with Mr. James about that. He seems willing for me to go forward. I am, however, uncomfortable going forward in this case. There is a timing issue here, in my opinion, because, and I would simply ask that this matter be reset as soon as possible, probably next week. Mr. James has been incarcerated for 23 days as of today's date.
All right. Katrina, can we put these two cases on for next Tuesday?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then we'll need to make sure Mr. Duke knows about the conflict. Mr. Burton, may I address your soon-to-be former client, Mr. James?
You may, Your Honor.
Mr. James, good morning, sir.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, thank you. The conflict rules are a little bit tricky. So guardian ad litem means that Mr. Burton represents a child or children involving in the case. And what he's saying is he doesn't want to try to make decisions. He's got to make decisions in that case, which he had first, of what's in the child's best interest. And if he knows information about your case because of this one and you shared information confidentially, he would then be conflicted because maybe you disclose something where he then says, oh my goodness, the child may not be safe with Mr. James here, or you may be tempted not to tell him all the information you need for a good defense. So it's just in your best interest that we allow it. It's not that it happens on occasion. When we have cases where probate court gets the case first, they'll assign an attorney, and then a lot of times it's only by the name of the child. So a lot of times we don't know who the other people involved in the parties are, and especially when they don't have the same last names. And so that's what happened here. We're going to get you another attorney. Mr. Burton is reminding me of a rule that says a person charged with a misdemeanor after 28 days in jail has a right to have a PR bond unless there's some specific reasons. So he wanted me to know that. So he's still kind of acting in your behalf by reminding me of that rule. The issue that I have, though, is that your new charge came when you were on bond for another one. And because of that is the reason why I revoked the bond, which is different. Yes, sir.
I know that you gave me a bond and I revoked it. I would like to let you know that I didn't realize that I was having a mental crisis. And since I've never been to a place that really would help people out like this, but I've never been on medication before in my life. I've been in contact with CMH. I actually contacted them before I got arrested, and they are looking for me to get out to move forward with more counseling for me and with my medications.
Great.
I feel a lot better. I just want to let you know, I have a lot of money out there right now with tools. I'm a mechanic, and I need to be able to recover these tools.
Okay. So first of all, I'm grateful to hear it. You do sound a lot better than the last time I talked with you. You seem very clear-headed. And so we want to make sure we've got a good plan set in place with community mental health. So right now I'm going to leave the bond in place. I'm probably going to release you on this next Tuesday, but we want to have a plan. So continue to talk with community mental health and figure out where it is you're going to stay, how you're going to get your medications, how you're going to get things put in place. If the tools are where the victim is, you're also going to have to figure out a plan to have somebody else go get them, because right now we're going to, we're not saying forever, but until we can kind of figure out this whole mess, we need to make sure that there's no contact. So you got a little homework to do before next Tuesday. I anticipate allowing you to go back out next Tuesday, but I got to get a lawyer in place. I want to make sure you got your plan in place, because otherwise you'll slip right back into it, especially if you've not medicated before. People tend to slip up the neck pretty early when they first start their medications. I got a lot of hope for you because you really look clear-headed. I agree. I think that maybe we're getting to some place that's clearing up your head, and that's good news. If it took this, that's a bad thing, but it ends up sometimes working out for the better. So fantastic that you're working with community mental health. Let's get your plan set in place. We'll get you a new lawyer, and then we'll know all that details by next Tuesday, and that'll be our goal. Okay?
Yes, sir.
The time, Your Honor, is Tuesday, June 29th at 9:45 a.m.
Okay. We'll pop you up on the 9:45. My intentions are, if you've done your homework, that we'll release you out on bond on that day. But let's have a plan. Where are you going to stay? Get your appointments set up with community mental health. Get your medication straightened around and figure out who is going to get your tools.
My appointment is set up. I have a place to stay in. My appointment is set up with. I don't know what the date is, because when I seen her yesterday, her laptop wasn't working, and she told me she was just going to write it. I already have a date, because I told them I was probably going to get out today. So they already made me a date. I don't know what it is. It's in my property. Okay. So now yeah.
All right. Well, who are you working with at the jail then?
I'm not sure what her name is.
Is it Marissa?
Marissa. Yes, sir.
Okay. Marissa knows how to get in contact with us. You would not be surprised, just like if I took my car to get fixed, what would seem confusing to me is not confusing to you. What seems confusing to you is not confusing to me. So Marissa knows how to get in contact with us, we know how to get things set in place. And if we've got a safe place for you, we may not have to wait till Tuesday. But contact Marissa and have her get in contact with the court, and then we'll see what we can get done. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll be adjourned.
All right.
Your Honor, I have Mr. Dante Tyson, who was at the 9 o'clock time slot.
You already issued a bench warrant.
Yes, sir.
So you know.
I did.
Your Honor, I also have Eon Silverstein, who said at 9:45.
All right, well, let's put Mr. Tyson back in the waiting room. He's not connected, and we do have Mr. Silverstein, so let's honor his timing.
Sir.
Is it Silverstein or Silverstein?
Silverstein.
Okay. Calling cases of the people state of Michigan versus Ian Silverstein. File 210728SM and 210528SM. Counsel, identify yourselves for the record.
Thank you, Patrick Swinsky, for the people.
Peter Durant on behalf of Ian Silverstein. The prosecution and I actually had a discussion yesterday. If I could be placed in a breakout room briefly to discuss that with Mr. Silverstein, I would appreciate it.
All right, we'll do that. Mr. Silverstein, you stay right put. Until you see just Mr. Durant's, you're in a public setting, like you're in a courtroom. When you see just his face, that means you have, I don't know who else is in the room with you, but if somebody else in the room, they can hear the conversation, but he's gone.
Your Honor, Mr. Tyson is still connected to audio.
Well, the bench warrant still is issued, so it doesn't much matter, I guess, if he doesn't appear.
Would you like me to put up my sign for Mr. Tyson?
You can.
Yes, sir. There we go. All right, Mr. Tyson, are you there?
Yes,
Why weren't you here at 9 o'clock?
I was. I was in the host room for like 15 minutes, and then I just left and then rejoined.
Okay. But we're recalling the case of the People State of Michigan versus Dante Tyson, file 210213 ST. Counsel, identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Patrick Swinsky for the people.
And Mr. Tyson, please identify yourself.
Dante Tyson.
All right, Mr. Tyson, I think we set this out after the 16th. You had a Secretary of State date on June 16th, so we set this out for the 22nd. Did you go to your meeting?
No,
Why not?
I didn't know I had to do anything else.
I think you told me that you had set that up, and you gave me that date. That's why we pushed this out.
I didn't. I never had a day to go to the Secretary of State.
All right, let me just take a look at my notes then.
Your Honor, Mr. Tyson did say that he was going to obtain an attorney.
You did. All right, Mr. Tyson, you said you were going to obtain an attorney. Did you do that?
No, I said I was gonna represent myself.
All right, Katrina, can we pull up the hearing from the last time?
Yes, Your Honor, it'll take me a few minutes to find it.
It's okay. We got time.
One moment, Your Honor.
Did you find it?
It'll be just a sec.
Thank you.
Your Honor, are you waiting for myself and Mr. Silverstein?
Now, we are actually waiting for, well, we are waiting for you, but we're waiting for, Katrina's looking up a prior hearing with Mr. Tyson because there was a question about what our communication. So I want to make sure we had reviewed that. And I think that
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Katrina's having some struggles finding it.